Welcome to the Markets Happy Hour podcast, a weekly markets update for investors the world over. Each week we discuss inflation, geopolitics, interest rates, equity markets, and other asset classes. To try to answer the question, what does this mean for my investment portfolio? Let's dive in.
Yeah, I think we need to have a bit of humility in the short term. It's very difficult to know exactly what impact the current crisis might have on short-term inflation, particularly in countries that are a lot more exposed to energy prices, so kind of material energy importers. But I think your comments at the start are still true. So the underlying background here is still positive. I think we're still broadly moving towards target in most cases. We've got labour market slack or emerging labour market slack for the first time in a while. Goods disinflation as well. So I think the general theme prior to this week was of kind of a positive move back towards something that feels like more normal. But in the short term, it's very difficult to know how that might change. But I think if we take a bigger step back, what we probably have moved into, when I think about the current environment, the next 10 years, for example, versus the last 10 years, we've clearly got an environment of more inflation volatility. So even if this crisis subsides and we get back to something that feels more normal, we're still in an environment where the potential for exogenous inflation shocks is probably higher than it's been for some time. And so I think if you're a longer term investor, particularly a longer term investor who, like myself, a large part of your career was, inflation was not even talked about. It was a total sideshow. I think we need to make sure that there is kind of portfolio resilience to that unexpected inflation shock, and that when we're thinking about asset prices, things like longer dated bonds, for example, we're getting enough compensation for that additional inflation volatility kind of medium term.
Yeah, that's a great point. And if there is that volatility around inflation expectations, that is going to create more uncertainty for the consumer. I'm sure more wariness about making large purchases or large commitments. And it also muddies the interest rate outlook somewhat, as I've seen certainly interest rate expectations move around significantly, even over the course of this week, as some of the inflation numbers have moved around. The expectations of the number of cuts has come in, it seems, when it looks like inflation may not have been subsiding.